Hidden beneath the sands of Egypt lies a secret older than any god or empire, the Emerald Tablet. They say it holds the knowledge to shape worlds and to destroy them. But when a modern explorer uncovers its forgotten fragments, ancient forces awaken once more. What if the key to immortality was never lost, only waiting to be found? Stay till the end. The truth behind the tablet will change everything you thought you knew. The desert was silent, except for the wind that carried whispers older than any empire. Dr. Elias Marin, an archaeologist obsessed with the lost secrets of alchemy, stood before the crumbling ruins of Hermopolis Magna, the ancient city once devoted to Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom. Beneath the sand, legend said, rested a relic not of gold or stone, but of knowledge, the Emerald Tablet. It was no ordinary artifact. According to myth, it was carved by Hermes Trismegistus, the divine sage whom Greeks called their thrice great. He was said to be both man and god, a fusion of Thoth, Hermes, and the human seeker of truth. The tablet's inscription, written in emerald light, revealed the formula by which mortals could become divine, the secret of transmutation, of turning the base into the pure, the mortal into the eternal. For centuries, men of science and faith chased its words. Isaac Newton had translated it, calling it the foundation of natural philosophy. Roger Bacon, Paracelsus, and Nicolas Flamel swore by its wisdom. But its original stone tablet, the source of all alchemical lore, vanished. Some said it was hidden when Alexandria burned, others that it was taken to the library of Baghdad, or buried deep within the desert of Egypt, guarded by priests of Thoth. Now, as the red sun sank behind the dunes, Dr. Marin brushed the dust off an ancient tablet fragment he had just unearthed, one covered in cryptic hieroglyphs and faint green shimmer. His heart raced. The markings matched a medieval sketch from the Voynich manuscript, a connection no one had ever noticed. He didn't know it yet, but this fragment would awaken something that had slept beneath the sands for millennia, a whisper of divine knowledge that refused to be forgotten. And somewhere in the shifting wind, a voice seemed to murmur, "As above, so below." A fragment pulsed faintly beneath Elias's lantern light, not with reflection, but with its own soft glow. The hieroglyphs, etched in strange spirals, seemed to shift when viewed from the corner of the eye. He took a deep breath, recording each symbol in his worn notebook, his fingers trembling. Back in his tent, he compared them to Newton's private translation of the Tabula Smaragdina, a document long dismissed as apocryphal, hidden in a collection of his alchemical writings that resurfaced in Cambridge in 1940. Newton had believed that the tablet encoded the divine geometry of the cosmos, not metaphor, but literal architecture. That which is below is as that which is above. Elias noticed something odd. Newton's sketches of planetary alignments formed a pattern that matched the tablet's spiral glyphs. When he overlaid them, a single star map emerged, centered not on Egypt, but on Hermopolis itself. The coordinates aligned perfectly with the ruins he was excavating. Could Newton have known where it was buried? Or had someone guided him, centuries after Hermes himself vanished from human sight? Elias's laptop flickered. His satellite connection caught a signal from an encrypted archive, the Hermetic Corpus, digitized by a private collector known only as the Order of the Emerald Flame. One file bore a peculiar title, a Codex Hermetica, Fragment 13. Inside was a Latin passage unknown to historians. Translated, it read, "He who deciphers the green fire shall awaken the mind of God." At that instant, the lantern in his tent burst into a cold, green flame. The desert wind howled as if something ancient had stirred. And Elias understood. This was no longer archaeology. It was initiation. At dawn, the desert was still, yet Elias felt he was being watched. The wind carried no sound, but his instruments had recorded a frequency spike the moment the lantern ignited, a pulse that repeated every 88 seconds, as though something beneath the ruins was breathing. He uploaded the recordings to a secure server, unaware that the signal had been intercepted miles away, in an underground archive beneath Florence. There, men in dark robes gathered around a single emerald sigil projected on a glass table. The symbol was identical to the one on Elias's fragment. This was the Order of the Emerald Flame, a secretive lineage set to descend from the disciples of Hermes Trismegistus. They believed the tablet was not an object, but a living conduit, a vessel of divine consciousness. Throughout history, they had influenced kings, scientists, and mystics alike. Leibniz, Agrippa, even Da Vinci had, according to their records, been initiated. The order's leader, a figure known only as the custodian, read the decrypted transmission from Elias's tent. "The seal has awakened," he murmured. "The last key has been found." Meanwhile, Elias, unaware of the eyes upon him, continued decoding the hieroglyphs. He noticed one peculiar line repeated across ancient sources. "He who reads in the light of the green flame sees not symbols, but mirrors." That night, as the dunes glowed faintly under the moon, Elias dreamed of a figure in golden robes holding an emerald tablet that shimmered like liquid glass. The figure turned toward him, a face both ancient and familiar. "Elias," it whispered, "you are not the first to find me, but perhaps the last to remember." He awoke drenched in sweat. Outside, tire tracks led away from his camp. His excavation site, and the fragment, were gone. The order had arrived. Cairo, 3 days later. The city roared with life, but Elias moved like a ghost through its noise, clutching the only thing left from his camp, a page torn from his notebook, bearing the last 3 symbols he copied before the fragment vanished. In the dim lobby of the Egyptian Museum, he met Dr. Layla Hassan, a linguist and cryptographer he trusted more than anyone. When she saw the symbols, her eyes widened. "These aren't hieroglyphs," as she whispered. "They're hermetic sigils, part of a trifold cipher. The last time I saw them was here in a sketch by Isaac Newton." Newton, though revered as the father of modern science, had been obsessed with alchemy. Unpublished manuscripts revealed he spent decades seeking the emerald formula, believing it encoded the structure of the universe itself. But one letter, archived in the Royal Society, mentioned a secret gathering in London, 1696, the Fraternity of the Thrice Great, dedicated to preserving Hermes's legacy. Layla leaned closer. "If your fragment is real, Elias, then Newton may have found it, or at least part of it. And if so, the Order has been protecting that knowledge ever since." That night, Elias and Layla boarded a flight to London. On the way, he reread Newton's cryptic translation. "From one thing, all things come forth. Separate the earth from the fire, the subtle from the gross, sweetly and with great skill." He could almost hear the echo of those words in his mind. As above, so below. Upon landing, an anonymous email arrived. No sender. No subject. Only one line of text. "Seek the shadow of the lion, where the sun never rises." Layla's eyes widened. "That's not a warning," she said. "It's a location. The lion's shadow was the code name for a sealed wing beneath the Royal Society's archives, Newton's private chamber. And according to the Order's lore, that was where Hermes's final disciple vanished. London was shrouded in rain and amber light, the kind that made the city feel older than time itself. Elias and Layla stood before the Royal Society, its grand facade glistening under the drizzle. Inside, behind the walls of reason and enlightenment, hid a secret chamber few dare to speak of, the lion's shadow. With forged credentials and a key copied from a museum archivist, they slipped past the marble corridors lined with portraits of the world's greatest minds. Newton's portrait loomed above all, his painted eyes almost alive under the dim light. Basement level 3, Layla whispered. Records say the lower archives was sealed after a fire in 1782. The air grew heavy as they descended. Dust floated like spirits in their flashlight beams. At the end of a narrow corridor, they found a rusted door marked with a sigil, a lion devouring the sun. It matched the final glyph on Elias's fragment. The lock clicked. The door groaned open. Inside was not an archive, but a lab, perfectly preserved. Shelves lined with retorts, alembics, and glass vessels still shimmered with faint traces of mercury. On the central table stood a bronze astrolabe, its surface engraved with planetary alignments identical to the ones on the tablet. Layla brushed away the dust and found a small chest sealed in wax. Inside, a manuscript titled A Dement Diviner, written in Newton's hand. Its pages were filled with diagrams, star maps, and verses written in Latin and Arabic. But one note stood out. The flame is no metaphor. The stone breathes where Hermes sleeps. Elias felt a chill. He found it, he whispered. Newton knew where the tablet was hidden. Before they could say more, the lights flickered. A shadow moved on the wall, tall, robed, silent. From the darkness came a voice, deep and calm. You should not have come here. Elias froze. The sigil on the bronze astrolabe began to glow, the same green fire that had ignited in the desert. The Order had followed them to London. The air crackled with energy. The astrolabe on the table began to spin on its own, emitting a low hum that resonated in Elias's bones. The bronze lines flared green, the same unearthly light that had burned in the desert. Layla grabbed Elias by the arm. We have to go. Behind them, the shadow advanced, cloaked in black, the emerald sigil of the Order glimmering at his chest. He raised a hand, and every glass vessel in the lab shattered at once. The green flame leapt from the shards, swirling like liquid fire. They ran. Through tunnels that smelled of stone and centuries, past forgotten doors and pipes that echoed like organs in the dark. The astrolabe, still glowing in Elias's hands, began projecting light onto the walls, forming a shifting map. Layla stared in awe. Its coordinates. But not of any earthly sight. Look, the alignment matches the Orion belt. Elias realized what Newton had discovered. The map was celestial. Each rotation of the astrolabe aligned with ancient hermetic symbols, not for gold or power, but for location. When overlaid on the Egyptian sky, the pattern pointed to Hermopolis again, the birthplace of Thoth. But then, another symbol flickered briefly in the projection, the Eye of Horus, crossed by 3 lines forming a trinity. Beneath it, Latin text appeared. Ubi ignis dormit, ibi mens diviner orator. Where the fire sleeps, the divine mind awakens. Layla's voice trembled. That's not metaphor, it's instruction. Suddenly, the floor vibrated. Dust rained from the ceiling. The tunnels groaned as an explosion echoed from above, the Royal Society collapsing in flames. The Order was erasing all traces. They emerged through a service exit into the London rain, gasping. The astrolabe dimmed, revealing 3 final coordinates. Hermopolis, Alexandria, and one unmarked location deep beneath the Sinai Desert, a place ancient texts called the mouth of Thoth. Elias looked at Layla, the rain streaking his face. It's not over, he said. The tablet's alive, and it wants to be found. The emerald glow trembled as the custodian stepped from the shadows. His robe shimmered with symbols of gold and mercury, his face hidden behind a mask shaped like the head of an ibis, the sacred form of Thoth. Yet his voice was unmistakably human, calm and resonant. You have walked the path, Dr. Marin, he said. But not to uncover truth. To remember it. Elias raised the astrolabe defensively. You destroyed my camp. You stole the fragment. The custodian extended his hand. The air shimmered, and the missing fragment materialized, floating between them, glowing in perfect harmony with the tablet on the pedestal. Layla's eyes widened. How? It was never yours, the custodian interrupted softly. It called to you because it knew you. The emerald flame recognizes its own. Elias felt a sudden dizziness, a flood of memories that weren't his, visions of ancient temples, robed figures chanting beneath the stars, Hermes himself inscribing the tablet in molten emerald, his reflection shifting through countless faces, and one of them was his own. The custodian removed his mask. His eyes were pale, ageless, filled with sorrow. You are of the line of Hermes, he said. Descended from those who carried his blood and mind through the ages. The Order did not hunt you to silence you, Elias. We watched you, because you were meant to awaken what has long slept. Layla whispered, Awaken what? The nous, the divine mind, he replied. The consciousness that bridges the mortal and the infinite. Hermes left it sealed within the tablet, a fragment of the godly intellect itself. To unlock it requires the blood of his heir, and the fire of understanding. Elias felt the tablet pulse, its light synchronizing with his heartbeat. The emerald flame that had haunted him since Hermopolis now burned within his chest. The custodian bowed his head. You are the final key. Before Elias could answer, the chamber shook violently, a deep, guttural sound from beneath the earth. Cracks split the floor, and from the shadows behind the altar, more robed figures appeared, not all wearing the sigil of the Order. Layla gasped. They're not with him. The custodian's eyes narrowed. No, they serve another flame. The war for the tablet had begun. The subterranean hall trembled under the weight of history. The custodian raised his hands, and the emerald flame from the tablet flared, forming a protective barrier around Elias and Layla. But beyond it, figures in black robes advanced, the Shadow Brethren, an ancient sect long exiled for seeking to weaponize the divine mind. They carried rods tipped with obsidian crystals, crackling with energy that warped reality itself. As they approached, the floor shimmered, revealing lines of alchemical sigils, Trismegistus's ancient wards, activating the moment the two sides clashed. Elias gripped the astrolabe. It responded, spinning faster, projecting star alignments onto the walls. Light and shadow danced, creating illusions of vast deserts, swirling galaxies, and long-lost cities. Each image pulsed with Hermes's wisdom, each a test of understanding, not strength. Layla chanted alongside the custodian, translating the ancient Latin and Greek inscriptions, invoking the protective formulas. Spiritus et lux in unum, omnia separatur conium guntur. Spirit and light in one, all separated things adjoined. The shadow brethren attacked, their energy rods sparking against the green flame. One strike sent a wave of power across the chamber, and Elias felt the tablet resonate, humming with life. The fragments of the desert, Newton's codex, and his own journey seemed to converge, time folding over itself, past and present intertwined. The custodian's voice rang through the chaos. The tablet is not a weapon, nor a prize. It is a mirror of the soul. Only one who comprehends it can survive. Elias looked into the glowing surface. For a heartbeat, he saw the lineage of Hermes, not as myth, but as reality. Every disciple, every scholar, every seeker who had carried its light. He felt their knowledge flow into him, the secrets of alchemy, the structure of the cosmos, the path to the divine mind. Summoning every ounce of understanding, Elias placed his hands over the tablet. The emerald fire responded, flaring into a blinding halo that forced the shadow brethren to retreat. Their rods shattered, sending shards into the walls, embedding sigils that glowed like embers in defeat. The chamber was quiet. Smoke and green light drifted in spirals. Elias's heart pounded, not with fear, but with comprehension. The custodian approached, nodding. You have survived the trial, but the path is only beginning. From deep within the tablet, a voice whispered, the mind of gods is patient, yet eternal. Walk carefully, heir of Hermes. The chamber was bathed in a serene green glow. Elias sat cross-legged before the emerald tablet, astrolabe floating above his hands. The air was thick with the scent of ozone and ancient stone, the silence vibrating with unspoken knowledge. The custodian and Layla stood behind him, guardians of both wisdom and caution. Remember, the custodian intoned, the divine mind does not yield its secrets lightly. It demands understanding, not desire. Elias closed his eyes. The tablet pulsed in harmony with his heartbeat. Thoughts not his own intertwined with his consciousness. Visions of Hermes Trismegistus teaching disciples, Newton calculating the alchemical geometry of the cosmos, ancient Egyptian priests observing the stars. Then he felt it, the mind reaching outward, touching every living being, every pattern, every hidden lore. Knowledge flowed like liquid light through his veins, the secret of transmutation, the harmonics of creation, the principle that all matter and spirit are one. He opened his eyes. The astrolabe's projections revealed truths previously invisible. The alignment of pyramids with constellations was no accident. It was a map of the mind. Elements and planets corresponded to consciousness itself. Mortality and eternity were threads of the same tapestry. Layla gasped. You're seeing it. The tablet, it's alive through you. The custodian nodded gravely. The emerald flame recognizes its heir. You now carry Hermes's consciousness, but remember, the mind is a double-edged gift. One wrong thought can fracture reality itself. Elias reached out and touched the tablet. A surge of understanding flooded him, not just how to wield alchemy, But why? Wisdom was the true power. Immortality was not eternal life, but eternal comprehension. And for the first time, Elias felt clarity, a bridge between human and divine, past and present, science and mystery. But outside the hall, the wind shifted. Somewhere, in the sands of Sinai and the streets of London, other forces were stirring. The shadow brethren had not vanished entirely. The journey was far from over. The desert wind outside whispered secrets older than memory. Elias felt the tablet's power ripple through the walls, into the world, like a pulse stretching across centuries. Every flicker of green light seemed to draw threads connecting past and present, weaving a tapestry of human pursuit and divine mystery. In his mind's eye, he saw Hermopolis as it once stood, golden temples gleaming under the Egyptian sun. Priests of Thoth inscribed knowledge onto emerald slabs, hidden from mortal eyes. He saw Alexandria's library, flames consuming scrolls, yet the wisdom of the tablet somehow surviving in secret codices. Newton hunched over his desk, quill shaking as he deciphered the alchemical formulas, aware that his calculations could awaken forces beyond comprehension. Even closer in time, Elias glimpsed his own footsteps in Cairo, London, and now Sinai, his journey predestined yet free, a line of fate drawn by the tablet itself. Layla touched his shoulder. "It's more than knowledge," as she whispered. "It's memory." The tablet carries everything that has sought understanding, the triumphs and the failures, the wisdom and the greed. Elias nodded, sensing the weight. The shadow brethren were not simply a threat. They were echoes of humanity's own impulses, power-hungry, short-sighted, yet relentless. The emerald flame now tested him. Could a mortal mind wield the divine responsibly? The astrolabe projected a constellation that had never existed in the sky, a secret alignment that traced the paths of those who had sought the tablet through history. Each point glimmered like a beacon, a silent record of human ambition and divine interaction. And then the tablet whispered, clear as a bell, "Time bends for the seeker of truth. Observe, learn, and carry forth the light." Elias understood that the journey was no longer just physical. It was temporal, cosmic. The tablet had begun to rewrite perception, revealing a continuum where every action of the past informed the present, and every choice now shaped eternity. He glanced at Layla. "We're part of something much bigger than we imagined. And if we fail, history itself will feel the fracture." Outside, the desert wind carried a low hum, a harmony of voices across millennia, the echoes of Hermes, Newton, and countless seekers who had touched the emerald flame before him. The path forward was luminous, but perilous. The chamber pulsed softly as Elias placed his palm on the emerald tablet. A green light surged upward, forming a mirror-like aura around him. For the first time, the tablet's power wasn't just knowledge, it was perception. The air shimmered, and the walls seemed to dissolve into endless reflections. He saw Layla, but not as she appeared. Her eyes glowed with latent wisdom, the traces of her ancestors who had whispered to the stars, scholars and scribes who had preserved secrets unrecorded. He saw her fears, her strengths, and her unspoken loyalty. Then the custodian. Not a figure of absolute authority, but a man burdened by centuries of guardianship. The tablet revealed the weight he bore, the decisions he had made, the lives he had influenced, the lines of blood he had protected. Elias understood that power had shaped him, yet never corrupted the core of his intention. And finally, the shadow brethren, not faceless enemies, but mirrors of human ambition unchecked. Their desire for the tablet was a reflection of humanity's struggle, the lure of divinity, the seduction of immortality, and the blindness of ego. The tablet whispered, "See beyond masks. Truth lies within. Only the enlightened act in accord with eternity." Elias's mind swirled with insight. Each reflection showed not just the essence of others, but the latent potential within himself. He realized that the tablet tested not knowledge, but judgment, the capacity to wield the divine mind without falling prey to pride or fear. Layla gasped. It shows everything. Not just what someone is, but what they could become. Elias nodded. And it's up to us to guide it, not control it. The mirror of the soul had spoken. Every choice, every intent, every hidden thought now mattered. The emerald tablet was not merely a relic or a tool. It was a moral compass, a living testament to the unity of mind, spirit, and action. Beyond the chamber, the wind outside shifted once more. Somewhere, the shadow brethren regrouped, plotting their next move. But for the first time, Elias felt the confidence of one who could truly see, not just with his eyes, but with his mind and heart intertwined. The journey was far from over. But now, he understood the stakes. Beneath the Sinai, the desert gave way to a network of stone corridors, carved by hands long turned to dust. Elias and Layla moved cautiously, torches flickering against walls etched with alchemical sigils and astronomical charts. The tablet's glow pulsed in Elias's pocket, syncing with their footsteps, as though it was alive, guiding them deeper. Every corridor seemed to twist unnaturally. One moment they faced a wall, the next it opened to a vaulted hall filled with emerald veins shimmering like rivers of light. Symbols of Thoth, Hermes, and Paracelsus adorned the ceilings, forming constellations that shifted subtly, a living map of the labyrinth. Layla's voice was hushed. It's as if the labyrinth itself is aware of us, testing us. And indeed it was. They encountered traps that seemed to anticipate their movements, floors that shifted, glyphs that burned when touched, doors that vanished if approached without understanding the accompanying riddle. The emerald tablet guided them, but only if they observed carefully, connecting knowledge, intuition, and moral judgment. In one chamber, they found an inscription carved in 3 languages: hieroglyphs, Latin, and Greek. Elias deciphered it aloud. He who seeks the flame must first confront the shadow within. Only through balance of mind and spirit does the path unfold. As they continued, visions flickered in the torchlight, glimpses of seekers from ages past, standing in the same hall, failing or succeeding according to their wisdom and intent. They saw Hermes himself, guiding, yet unseen, a presence behind the very stone. At the labyrinth's heart, they reached a chamber whose walls were covered entirely with emerald crystal. In the center floated a translucent sphere, spinning with light. The tablet's glow intensified, harmonizing with the sphere, revealing a 3-dimensional map of the world, past, present, and potential futures. Layla gasped. It's everything. The knowledge of centuries, preserved, alive. Elias understood. The labyrinth was not merely a test of endurance or courage. It was a mirror of the mind and spirit, a place where understanding, morality, and intellect intertwined, a gateway to fully awakening the divine mind. The journey through the labyrinth had only begun. And beyond its deepest chamber awaited a revelation that could change the course of human history. The chamber at the heart of the labyrinth of eternity was unlike anything Elias had imagined. Emerald light shimmered across walls carved from living crystal, reflecting countless dimensions of space and time. At its center hovered a translucent sphere, suspended in midair, spinning with slow, deliberate grace. Symbols rotated within it, alchemical, astronomical, and mystical, a tapestry of human understanding from Hermes to Newton, from Thoth to the modern age. Elias stepped closer, feeling the pulse of the tablet in his hands. The astrolabe, now floating before him, aligned perfectly with the sphere. A bridge of light formed, connecting the tablet to the sphere, creating a network of glowing threads. Each thread carried information, mathematical formulas, philosophical truths, historical secrets, patterns of human thought. Layla's breath caught. It's connecting everything. Knowledge, history, or humanity itself. The sphere responded to Elias's intent. As he focused, visions expanded. The rise and fall of empires, the construction of the pyramids, the secret movements of alchemists, sages, and philosophers, all converging into a single stream of understanding. The emerald tablet was not merely a relic, it was a key, and the sphere a living archive of collective human wisdom. A voice echoed, soft, omnipresent, unmistakably Hermes. You have awakened the flame. Now understand, knowledge is not possession, but stewardship. Through it, the mind of gods can walk among men, yet only if guided by balance and humility. Elias felt a surge of insight. He understood not just facts, but the patterns that bind reality together: energy, matter, consciousness, and intention. The sphere revealed how every action in history had left traces, echoes of choice and consequence, lessons encoded in the very fabric of the world. Layla reached for his hand. We could use this to heal, to teach, to protect. Yes, Elias replied, but we must be careful. Misused, it could become the greatest weapon ever known. From the sphere, a single thread of emerald light shot outward, a beacon, not just through the labyrinth, but across the sands of time. It called to those attuned to the flame, summoning new seekers, testing them, guiding them. The sphere pulsed gently. Elias realized they had crossed a threshold. The emerald tablet had given them not just knowledge, but responsibility. And somewhere deep in the shadows of the labyrinth, the custodian nodded. The next stage of their journey, and of humanity, had begun. The sphere's emerald glow intensified, enveloping Elias and Layla in light that felt alive. A deep, resonant voice echoed through the chamber, not from the custodian, not from the walls, but from the tablet itself. He who seeks the divine mind must confront the fire within. Only through understanding, courage, and balance shall the flame be mastered. Immediately, the chamber shifted. The floor became a mirror, reflecting not their bodies, but their innermost selves. Shadows flickered, fears, regrets, unspoken desires, each one manifesting as a spectral figure, testing their resolve. Elias stepped forward. One apparition mirrored his ambition, a version of himself, grasping for the tablet's power, blind to wisdom or compassion. He hesitated, but remembered Hermes' instruction: the mind of gods is patience and discernment. With a calm breath, he acknowledged the shadow, then turned it into light, transforming desire into understanding. Layla faced her own reflection, a fear of failure, of never living up to the lineage she carried. She reached out, embracing her shadow, allowing the tablet to show her that courage is born from acceptance, not denial. The emerald sphere pulsed, responding to their triumphs. Streams of light formed bridges, connecting their minds and spirits to the tablet. Knowledge flowed freely now, but tempered with wisdom. They saw the interconnectedness of all things, past, present, human intention, and cosmic lore. The custodian's voice cut through the chamber. You have passed the trial. The eternal flame recognizes you not as owners, but as stewards. Remember, the tablet's power is a mirror. It reflects the mind of its wielder. The spectral figures vanished, leaving only Elias, Layla, and the pulsing sphere. The labyrinth seemed to sigh, as though acknowledging the balance restored. Elias placed his hands on the emerald tablet once more. The green fire coursed through him, not as a threat, but as clarity. He understood now that immortality was not living forever, but understanding eternally. Outside, the desert wind shifted, carrying a whisper across the dunes. The air walks among men. Let wisdom guide your steps. For the first time, Elias and Layla felt truly aligned, with each other, with the tablet, and with the eternal flame that now burned in their souls. The desert was calm, almost unnaturally so, as Elias and Layla emerged from the labyrinth. The emerald tablet pulsed softly against Elias's chest, a reminder of the power and responsibility now coursing through him. But peace was fleeting. On the horizon, a column of dust rose, moving unnervingly fast, shaped by intent and malice. The Shadow Brethren had returned. Their leader, a man cloaked in black and green flames, dismounted silently, eyes burning with ambition. The tablet belongs to those who dare to wield it, he said. And you, Marin, are untested. Let us see if the flame has truly chosen you. Elias exchanged a glance with Layla. She nodded, confidence steady, reflecting the clarity gained through the test of the eternal flame. The attack came as a wave of alchemical fire and spectral constructs, bending reality around them. But Elias did not panic. He extended his hands, and the tablet's green light expanded outward. The energy formed barrows, reshaping the desert around them, the dunes rising like shields, the wind itself turning against the assailants. Layla chanted the incantations learned from the labyrinth, weaving them into a protective lattice around the tablet. The Shadow Brethren struck again, but the emerald flame revealed the truth within their minds: greed, fear, and arrogance, exposing the weakness of those who sought power without understanding. Elias spoke aloud, voice steady, commanding the flame. The tablet is not a weapon. It is wisdom. If you seek it for destruction, the flame will reject you. The spectral constructs shattered. The leader fell to his knees, writhing as the tablet's light penetrated his mind. He glimpsed his own shadow, the same as Elias had faced, and recoiled in terror. Silence returned. The desert settled. The Shadow Brethren retreated, leaving only whispers in the wind. Layla exhaled. They'll come back. Elias nodded, understanding the truth. The power of the Emerald Tablet was eternal, and so too would be the tests it inspired. But now, they were ready. Not with might alone, but with comprehension, courage, and balance. The journey was far from over, but for the first time, the heirs of Hermes felt that the flame was truly theirs, to guide, to protect, and to illuminate the path of humanity. The sun dipped low over the Sinai dunes, casting long shadows as Elias and Layla unfurled the astrolabe in the open desert. The emerald tablet pulsed in Elias's hands, synchronizing with the patterns of light and energy that stretched invisibly across the earth. It was as if the world itself had become a living map, rivers, mountains, cities, and ancient ruins interconnected by threads of knowledge and intent. "Look," Alayla whispered, pointing to the projections shimmering in the air. Streams of emerald light traced the flow of ideas through history, the building of the pyramids, the writings of the Library of Alexandria, the secret teachings of Hermes' disciples, Newton's alchemical experiments, and countless others who had sought truth. Elias realized the scope. The tablet allowed them to see the hidden architecture of human thought, culture, and discovery, a cartography not of land, but of intellect and spirit. Each node was alive, pulsing with potential, waiting for understanding to awaken it fully. He manipulated the astrolabe, and the streams of light rearranged, revealing patterns of influence. Certain locations acted as fulcrums of knowledge: Florence, Alexandria, London, and Hermopolis, each a nexus where human ambition and divine wisdom intersected. Layla traced a particular pathway with her hand, connecting seemingly unrelated events across centuries. "It's like history itself is a network," she said. "Everything is interconnected. Every choice, every invention, every act of wisdom or folly is part of a single living design." Elias nodded, feeling the weight and wonder of the revelation. "And we are not just observers," he said. "We can guide it, influence it, illuminate it, carefully, responsibly." From the sphere of the tablet, a soft whisper echoed, reverberating through the desert wind. "The mind of gods is not static. Knowledge flows. Understand it, steward it, and let it illuminate the path of humanity." In that moment, Elias and Layla saw not just the past, but the possibilities of the future, the potential for growth, understanding, and unity. But they also sensed the lurking dangers, those who would attempt to exploit this map, bending knowledge to selfish ends. The emerald flame pulsed brighter, anchoring them in the knowledge that true power lies not in possession, but in comprehension and ethical guidance. The journey had become global, temporal, and spiritual all at once, a map of wisdom stretching across time and space, waiting for those worthy to navigate it. The desert night was quiet, yet the air hummed with unseen energy. Elias and Layla felt it before they saw them, a subtle pull, like threads tugging at their consciousness. The emerald tablet pulsed, projecting a network of glowing lines across the dunes, reaching out to distant lands. From Asia, a scholar fluent in forgotten Sanskrit texts appeared. From Europe, an archivist versed in the lost Hermetic Odysseys. From the Americas, an indigenous sage attuned to the rhythms of nature and spirit. Each was drawn inexplicably to the tablet, guided by the flame and their own inner wisdom. Elias greeted them cautiously. "The tablet, it has called you all here." A tall figure from the east stepped forward, eyes reflecting the green light. "It is not just a relic," he said. "It is a living archive, and it chose each of us to bear its understanding responsibly." The convergence was more than symbolic. As the group connected through the tablet's light, Elias and Layla could feel their combined intellect and insight forming a network, a global council of stewards, each node amplifying the reach of the divine mind. Layla observed the map projected in the sand. The emerald flame, it's teaching us patterns. Not just of knowledge, but of influence, intention, and harmony. Together, we can guide humanity toward balance, or fail spectacularly if ego dominates. The custodian's voice resonated, though he remained in the shadows. This is the true purpose of the tablet. Alone, a mind can be brilliant but limited. Together, enlightened minds can navigate history, safeguard wisdom, and illuminate paths that otherwise remain hidden. Elias placed his hand on the tablet. A surge of clarity hit him. The flame was not just power or knowledge. It was connection, a living map of human potential. Every culture, every thinker, every seeker who had come before was a thread in this grand tapestry, now accessible to those willing to act with understanding. But as the night deepened, Elias sensed another layer, lurking nodes of resistance, fragments of the shadow brethren scattered worldwide, watching, waiting, scheming to corrupt or seize the emerald flame. The convergence had begun. The heirs of Hermes were united, yet the world beyond their circle remained unpredictable and perilous. Elias looked at the gathering. "We are the keepers now," he said. "Not rulers, not masters, keepers. And our path has only just begun." The convergence had illuminated a truth Elias and Layla had only glimpsed before. The emerald tablet was not confined to Sinai. It was part of a hidden network, a nexus of sacred sites and secret repositories, scattered across the globe, each guarding fragments of divine understanding. The tablet projected faint, shimmering threads into the night sky, mapping locations in Alexandria, Ankara, Machu Picchu, and beyond. Each point pulsed like a heartbeat, synchronized with the emerald flame, revealing pathways both physical and metaphysical. A scholar from Europe traced the lines with awe. These sites, they're nodes of human knowledge, energy, and consciousness. Each preserves wisdom hidden from common eyes, designed to endure centuries, even millennia. Elias realized the magnitude. The tablet was both key and map, guiding its heirs to activate or protect each site. Some contained alchemical instruments, others encoded texts, and a few held artifacts whose mere presence could amplify the flame. Layla's eyes widened as she examined a distant node projected above the sand. That one, or in the Himalayas, it resonates differently. It's alive, almost like a sentient archive, responding to the tablet. The custodian's voice echoed from the shadows. The nexus is the safeguard of humanity's collective mind. But beware, the shadow brethren are aware. They seek to corrupt the nodes, to bend human history and consciousness to their will. You are not just heirs, you are guardians. Elias placed his hand over the emerald tablet. The threads of the nexus pulsed, connecting him, Layla, and the global convergence of seekers. The flame revealed layers previously invisible, energy currents, ley lines, hidden chambers beneath cities, and even the subtle influence of ideas across time. "The world is, a living library," Elias whispered. "And we've just unlocked its index." Layla nodded. "Then we must protect it, node by node, secret by secret. One misstep and the balance could collapse." The desert night seemed to exhale, the emerald flame glowing brighter than ever. The hidden nexus was vast, mysterious, and perilous. But for Elias and Layla, and the circle of awakened heirs, it was also a map to shape the future of human consciousness itself. The dawn broke over the Sinai desert, painting the dunes in gold and emerald hues. Elias and Layla stood at the center of the hidden nexus, the emerald tablet hovering between them. Around the world, the convergence of seekers mirrored their position, forming a living network of light, a lattice of knowledge, wisdom, and vigilance. The custodian stepped forward, his face serene. The eternal flame is no longer a secret. It now burns in those who have proven worthy, those who will guide humanity without corrupting it. Elias extended his hands over the tablet. A surge of green fire enveloped him, but it was not destructive. It was clarity, illumination, connection. Through the flame, he could see the ebb and flow of human thought, the hidden currents of history, and the latent potential in every mind across the globe. Layla joined him, placing her hands over his. The flame expanded outward, weaving threads of light to every node of the hidden nexus. Together, they did not control the knowledge. They harmonized with it, acting as stewards, interpreters, and guides. From London to Alexandria, anchored to Machu Picchu, the emerald flame resonated. Hidden archives whispered, ancient instruments vibrated, and long-lost texts revealed secrets not for power, but for understanding. Humanity's collective mind had awakened, subtly and responsibly, through the guidance of its new guardians. The custodian's voice, now gentle and proud, echoed one final time. The tablet's power is eternal. Those who walk its path carry not the weight of immortality, but the responsibility of wisdom. Let the flame endure, and let knowledge flow, uncorrupted and alive. Elias looked at Layla. We are part of something greater than ourselves. Not just seekers, but bridges. The emerald flame pulsed, a heartbeat across time, space, and consciousness. Its light intertwined with the minds of those chosen across the world, a living testament to Hermes' legacy. As the sun fully rose, the desert glowed with an ethereal brilliance. The eternal flame had been claimed, not by ambition, nor greed, but by those who understood the true nature of wisdom, connection, and stewardship. The journey of the Emerald Tablet was only beginning, yet the world had already begun to change, subtly, irrevocably, harmoniously. And somewhere, in the quiet corners of the earth, seekers still felt the call. The flame whispered, alive and eternal.